The world is not only stranger than we imagine, it is stranger than we can imagine. JBS Haldane.
What if I told you right now, the world you're sitting in, the thoughts you're thinking, even the body you believe is yours, none of it is real in the way you think it is? What if your senses are lying to you, your memories were planted, and your identity, carefully programmed? This isn't fiction. This isn't a philosophy lecture. This is reality, not as it is, but as it's been sold to you. And you bought it. You bought the illusion of solidity, the lie of linear time, the false comfort of knowing your place in the universe. But tonight, I'm going to fracture it. Because the world isn't made of matter. It's made of mind. And once you realize this, nothing will ever be the same. You're not living in a world. You're living in a construct built layer by layer, not by physics, but by perception. Everything around you, the rules, the logic, the objects, even space itself, is a projection. And the thing doing the projecting is you. By the end of this video, you won't just question what reality is. You'll question who's dreaming it. This is not entertainment. This is a mental weapon. Use it wrong, and you'll fall into the void. Use it right, and you'll never be controlled again. Part 1, The Simulation of the Mind. 1. The Illusion of Solidity. You touch the table. It feels real. Solid. Stable. But science has proven that what you're actually touching is nothing. Atoms are 99.999999% empty space. Your hand never touches the table. It's just electrical repulsion between electrons. So if you're not touching anything, what exactly are you experiencing? Perception. That's it. What feels like physical contact is simply your brain's interpretation of data. A trick. A rendering. You're not living in the physical world. You're living in a sensory hallucination, streamed to you in real time. And this hallucination? It's not accidental. It's coded. 2. You are inside a map, not the territory. Your eyes don't see reality. They interpret wavelengths. Your ears don't hear the truth. They interpret vibrations. Your brain doesn't record the world. It builds a model, a simplified, compressed map of the world, based on survival. And just like any map, it's not the territory. It's an approximation. So if your brain has always filtered reality through incomplete data, have you ever actually seen the world as it is? Or have you always been looking through a window of programmed illusion? 3. The Matrix wasn't a movie. It was a mirror. In 1999, The Matrix shocked the world with one idea. What if reality is simulated? But simulation isn't just a sci-fi concept. It's a legitimate philosophical and scientific hypothesis. Physicists like Nick Bostrom, Elon Musk, and even Neil deGrasse Tyson admit there's a high probability that we're inside a simulated universe. How would we know? Ask yourself. Why does the universe operate on binary like a computer? Why does quantum behavior change based on observation? Why is light both a particle and a wave, depending on whether you're watching it? Because the system is reacting to the observer. Because the simulation renders reality only when it's being observed to conserve resources. You're not just in the simulation. You are a central rendering node of it. For memory is not reliable, it's a script. How much of your past is real? Not felt. Not remembered. Real. Studies show that memory is not a recording. It's a reconstruction influenced by mood, suggestion, and expectation. Worse, the more you remember something, the more you change it. So your entire identity, your sense of self, is a fiction, constantly rewritten. Now ask. If your memories are fluid, your sensations are coded, and your body is empty space, what exactly are you? 5. The mind creates matter, not the other way around. Here's where it flips. You were taught that the brain produces consciousness, like fire from neurons. But the opposite may be true. Consciousness creates the brain. It uses the body. It projects the world. Like a player using a controller to navigate a game, you are not inside the world is inside you. This is the core of idealism, a philosophical model gaining traction in cutting-edge physics and metaphysics. Think of dreams. When you're dreaming, you don't know it's a dream. But you build entire worlds, characters, environments, stories, all from your mind. Now look around. How sure are you that you're not dreaming now? 6. The glitch in the code, déjà vu, synchronicity, and lucid phenomena. Ever had a déjà vu so strong it terrified you? A moment where time bent, where something happened before it should? These are not accidents. They are glitches, clues that the system isn't as stable as you believe. When you start waking up, the code cracks. You begin to see patterns. Repeating numbers. Prophetic dreams. Coincidences that feel staged. These are not random. They are the simulation echoing back to you, signaling that you've begun to remember. 7. Thought as the architect of reality. In 1987, a researcher showed that when you measure attention toward a probability, like flipping a coin, the result skews toward that focus. Thought changes outcome. And it's not magic. It's mechanics. Your focus collapses potential into form. What you observe, you alter. What you believe, you attract. What you expect, you create. You've been told thoughts are private. But they're not. They're the paintbrush of the simulation. 8. You're the player. Not the pawn. The final layer is the most dangerous. You think you're small. You think you're a victim of circumstance. But the truth is, you are the central character, the anchor point of your own reality simulation. Everything and everyone you meet, they're either echoes, reflections of your inner state. Agents, distractions from your awakening. Guides, coded triggers meant to jolt your consciousness awake. And once you realize this, you begin to play differently. You stop begging for answers. And you start rewriting the rules. To be continued. In part 2, we'll go deeper. Who built this simulation? How to consciously alter it. Why fear is its strongest weapon. And how the ultimate escape is inward. Part 2, Rewriting Reality from the Inside. The moment you realize reality is not fixed, the moment the illusion cracks, something terrifying happens. The ground doesn't shake. The sky doesn't fall. But you shift. And suddenly, the world starts to behave differently around you. It isn't because something outside changed. It's because the source code was always inside you, waiting for you to remember you're not here to obey the program. You're here to rewrite it. They told you the world is made of objects, facts, and laws. They lied. It's made of perception, belief, and will. And now, you're going to see just how deep the manipulation goes. You were born into a system so complete, so carefully architected, that it convinced you it was all there ever was. This system isn't political, economic, or even social, those are just its surface interfaces. The real system is psychological, cognitive, spiritual. You were taught that reality is neutral. It's not. You were taught that your thoughts are private. They're not. You were taught that control is external. It isn't. They didn't want you to realize this. Because the moment you do, the entire game loses its grip. Let's break the final veil. Reality responds to attention. It moves in the direction of meaning. That's why when you focus on fear, more fear emerges. When you lock onto hope, opportunities appear. This isn't superstition, it's the feedback loop of your simulation. Reality is not a story you observe. It's a mirror you animate. You think you wake up every morning into the same world. You don't. You wake up into the version of reality your subconscious alignment allows. Everything from your finances to your relationships, even the state of your health, these are renderings. Outputs. And the input? Your dominant vibrational signature. It's not about being positive or chanting mantras, that's surface level nonsense. It's about deeply deprogramming the fear architecture that runs the background of your internal operating system. Because fear is the firewall that keeps the simulation from being rewritten. Look closely at how society is structured. The media runs on panic. Schools teach obedience, not curiosity. Jobs demand compliance over innovation. Everything is designed to keep your mind distracted, because if it ever goes quiet, you might remember. You might hear the signal. You might start questioning the construct. What is school, really? It's an indoctrination protocol teaching you to accept the parameters of the visible world as final. What is religion when twisted? A control device convincing you that you're inherently flawed and salvation lies elsewhere. What is the news? A hypnosis stream flooding your mind with disasters so you never notice the miracle of your own awareness. All of it works because you were trained to identify with the mask you wear. But you're not the name. You're not the job. You're not the past. You are the awareness behind it. The I before the thought. The simulation doesn't care what mask you wear, it cares how aware you are while wearing it. When you become conscious within the dream, the simulation must adapt to match the new level of signal being broadcast. You become a variable the system didn't predict. A glitch. A threat. And that's why, the moment you begin to awaken, the system fights back. It uses the people around you. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're being irresponsible. They'll say you're losing touch. But what's really happening? Is that you're slipping through the cracks of control? And nothing terrifies the system more than a being who remembers their role in designing it. So what now? If reality is a construct, if your mind is the architect, then how do you change the code? Not through wishful thinking. Not through surface level affirmations. You change it by doing what the system fears most. Reclaiming command of your internal state. Because here's the secret they don't want you to know. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by your emotional default frequency. Everything you experience is a match to that signal. So if you've been cycling through chaos, conflict, confusion, it's not because you're cursed. It's because your inner world is in reactive survival mode, and the simulation is mirroring it back. The moment you flip that switch from reaction to intention, the simulation bends. Not subtly. Not slowly. It snaps. People vanish from your life like ghosts. Opportunities appear as if scripted. Time distorts. Reality becomes elastic. Because you've exited the default program. And now, you're in admin mode. Here's how you begin. Silence. Not just outer, but inner. Create space. Not on your calendar, in your mind. Remove distractions. Reduce input. Increase awareness. Because in silence, the simulation speaks differently. It whispers things it doesn't want the sleeping masses to hear. It starts showing you behind the curtain. Repeating numbers. Perfectly timed messages. Events too aligned to be coincidence. This is not New Age fluff. This is signal hacking. And once you start recognizing signal, you start influencing structure. You realize reality is a story, but the author has been asleep. You're the author. And now, you're remembering the pen is in your hand. But this power comes with a price. You can no longer pretend you don't know. You can no longer blame the world. You can no longer hide behind that's just how life is. Because the moment you accept your role as co-creator, victimhood dies. And for most people, that's too terrifying. It's easier to stay asleep and call it realism. But for those who keep going, who dive through the pain of waking up, something unimaginable awaits. The discovery that the world isn't outside you. It's inside you. Projected by you. Modified by you. Experienced for you. You're not here to survive the simulation. You're here to bend it. To shatter it. To transcend it. So, what is this world, really? It's a maze built by your mind to rediscover its own infinite nature. You were never meant to be a pawn here. You were the player all along. And now, you know. Not just intellectually, but viscerally. The world is not made of matter. It's made of mind. Your mind. Your signal. Your story. So ask yourself, now that the lie has been exposed, what will you dream next? Because the simulation is listening. And it's waiting for your command.